Kate had always been deathly afraid of the dentist. The fear was rooted in her childhood, where memories of bright lights, the screech of drills, and the sharp pain haunted her. So when a toothache crept up on her during college, she did what she always did, she ignored it. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and before she knew it, years had passed. The ache, once sharp, became a dull, constant companion, almost like background noise. It was just another part of her life, something she'd grown used to. Over time, Kate learned to cope in her own strange ways. She convinced herself that she could power through the pain, that she was tough enough to handle it. She developed a routine to keep the ache at bay. Ice cream became her go-to remedy, the cold numbing the pain for a brief, delicious moment. She would sit in her tiny dorm room with a pint of ice cream, spooning it into her mouth while pretending the throbbing in her jaw wasn't getting worse with every bite. Of course, the sugar only made the pain worse, but Kate had mastered the art of denial. On days when the pain in her molar was bad, Kate would turn to a more old-fashioned remedy, cloves. She had read somewhere that chewing on cloves could numb a toothache, and so she carried a small pouch of them in her bag. She would pop one in her mouth during class, clamping it between her teeth until the numbing took over. It wasn't pleasant. Cloves had a strong flavor that made her grimace, but it did the trick. For a little while, at least. Kate's friends knew something was up, of course. They'd catch her cringing occasionally or avoiding eating hard foods, but whenever they asked, she'd brush it off with a laugh. Just a little tooth sensitivity, she'd say, waving them off. The truth was that Kate had become so used to the pain that she could hardly remember what life was like without it. It was just another part of her, like her curly hair or her freckled skin. Furthermore, Kate is embarrassed by her failing front teeth. Some have chipped off from decay, making her uncomfortable to smile in front of others. Because her co-workers at the office never see her smile, they think Kate is always dissatisfied and unhappy. Her boss once expressed concerns. "Are you happy working here? Is there anything you want to talk about, Kate?" he asked her once. Kate actually loved her job. She just couldn't express her happiness if it involved her teeth. Her mother was very worried. She constantly pleaded with her daughter to see the dentist, but Kate won't listen. Mom even offered to pay for it all. "You got dental care for your cats. Why can't you do the same for yourself?" Mom asked. "Mom, please, I don't want to talk about it anymore." And so she carried on, year after year, ignoring the growing decay beneath the surface. It wasn't until much later that ice cream and cloves could no longer help with the toothache. Kate would finally be forced to confront her fear. One night, Kate woke up with a throbbing pain. It was a dull throb that had turned into a full-blown, can't sleep, can't think, please make it stop nightmare. Kate's older brother, Mike, met her for lunch. "Kate, you look like you've been punched in the face," he said bluntly as they sat down to eat. Kate groaned, her hand cupping her swollen cheek. "It's nothing. Just a little toothache." Mike raised an eyebrow. "You know that's not going to go away on its own, right?" Kate mumbled something unintelligible, which could have been mistaken for agreement, but it was actually her trying to chew on the side of the mouth that wasn't hurting. "You need to see a dentist, right away," Mike said. Kate considered the idea of being toothless for about 3 seconds. "No way. I'm not going." Oh, then a sharp pain shot through her jaw. She cringed so hard that even Mike flinched in sympathy. "Fine," Kate snapped, throwing her hands up. But I'm not going to some mean dentist who'll enjoy torturing me. Mike smiled, a little too brightly for Kate's liking. You can see my dentist, Dr. Morgan. He's very nice and he's gentle. You have nothing to worry about. The next day, Kate found herself sitting in the waiting room of the aptly named Gentle Smiles Dental Clinic. As she sat there, her anxiety began to rise. She could hear the faint hum of dental equipment, the occasional yelp from a patient, and the unmistakable sound of a drill. She started to sweat, imagining Dr. Morgan as a monster with a twisted grin and a giant drill in hand. When her name was finally called, Kate almost ran out the door. But Mike, who had come for moral support, squeezed her hand and gave her a reassuring nod. You can do this, he whispered. Kate stood on shaky legs and followed the dental assistant into the examination room. The room resembled a medieval torture chamber. At its center stood a menacing chair that made her pause before daring to sit down. The assistant, who had a warm smile, patted Kate on the back. Don't worry, Dr. Morgan will take good care of you. He should be here in a minute, she said while walking out the door, leaving Kate by herself to panic. Kate wasn't convinced. She sat there clutching the armrests with intensity. A moment later, the dental assistant walked back into the room. Oh, miss? Looking around the room for Kate. Where did she go? Then she noticed an unusual lump behind the curtain. The assistant reached for Kate's arm and gently pulled her back to the chair. It's going to be all right, dear. Let's have you lie down here and the doctor will take a quick look at your teeth. She reclined the chair so Kate would be more comfortable. Kate reluctantly returned to the chair, clutching the armrests with her legs shaking in terror. Oh, I forgot to mention. Dr. Morgan was called away for emergency surgery. Dr. Drill will see you instead. Kate's eyes widened in panic. Wait, who? Her hands suddenly became so sweaty they were slipping off the armrests. Who is this doctor? She said with a panic-stricken face. Is that his real name? Before the assistant could say another word, Dr. Drill entered the examination room. He was an imposing figure, towering at 6'5", with a rough voice that matched his formidable presence. I'm going to die, she thought. Who's going to take care of my cats? Mom can't stand them. And I don't even have a will. Thoughts were screaming in her head as she tried hard not to whimper. What if I bite his hand and dash out the door? He put on a pair of gloves. The assistant turned on the overhead light. Kate squeezed her eyes shut. She imagined him pulling out a giant needle and then jabbing into her gums until she passed out from the pain. Let's take a look and see what's going on, said Dr. Drill. Kate's entire life flashed before her eyes. Mike patiently waited for Kate outside the room. About an hour after she went in, the door to the examination room opened. The assistant pushed Kate out in a wheelchair. Oh my gosh, are you okay? Mike rushed over. Kate started giggling and mumbling something about feeling numb while poking her cheek. She's fine, she just got a little scared, but everything is all right now. Some of her teeth couldn't be saved, so they were extracted, and now Kate is pain-free. I'm so proud of you, honey. Back at the house that night, Mom couldn't stop grinning. It wasn't so bad, was it? I'm still alive, so, no. She could speak normally again as the numbness wore off. Maybe you should think about getting your front teeth a makeover. How about some porcelain veneers? I heard they are, let's not get carried away. Kate stopped Mom in her tracks. Question 1. What did Kate use to remedy the toothache pain? A. Ice. B. Cloves. C. Clove cream. Question 2. Why was Kate's boss so concerned? A. Because Kate was unhappy. B. Because Kate was in pain. C. Because he'd never seen Kate smile. Question 3. What did Kate's mother offer to do? A. Pay for the dental treatments. B. Take her to the dentist. C. Take her cats to the dentist. Question 4. Why didn't Kate see Dr. Morgan? A. He forgot about Kate. B. He was ill. C. He was called away for surgery. Question 5. What did the dentist do to her teeth? A. He cleaned them. B. He extracted some of her teeth. C. He gave her a root canal treatment.